Previously on Old Sled, Alaska.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh, man. I gotta get out of this.
It is pretty bad. Wow. So, there we go. There's the ants. Okay, now with this piece here, with the sidewall, I mean, you just got to kind of visualize that piece going out, but with something like this, I mean, you notice how it's folded over. That's why we want to go ahead and make it about a 1/4 inch longer. So, now I'll just take my black marker and go ahead and just make it about a 1/4 inch longer. And then make this longer too, so it doesn't have to be way too long, but it has to be long enough. That one might be a little more than a 1/4 inch, but it's kind of what I need. And it doesn't have to be an exact straight line, but once you go ahead and start cutting it with the scissors, I mean, you can pretty much see what you're doing. So there's the first pattern. Now I could throw this in the trash and throw the other one in the trash, because once I go ahead and cut this out, I'll just flip it over and just trace that out. Okay, now that I got that cut out, all let's just do is just go ahead and just flip it around and try to find your, kind of like a better situation, that way you don't have to go ahead and waste a whole bunch of material. So try to get it as close as your cut as you can without losing a whole bunch. So we're not losing a whole bunch of it here, so now we can go ahead and trace this out, because that's going to be the other side of your other side seat. So there we go. We got our other side. So I can move that out to the side, and I'm going to cut that apart later. And then with stuff like this, you just pretty much get your remnants. And what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and make it to where I can get enough of the flap. So I'll just go ahead and make a straight line going all the way across, and a straight line going down. And I'll make it just a little bigger than that. That way, once I go ahead and sew these two pieces together, I'll just go ahead and make it rounded, kind of like that. Oops. And that way, once you go ahead and make the cut out of this, it'll be rounded like that, and won't have that square part. And then you'll have enough room to go ahead and put the hook and bob, or hook and grab. So once you do that,
Hook and loop.
Hook and loop, yeah.
You need to cut 2 of those pieces.
Yeah, I need to cut 2 of those pieces, because I gotta go ahead and make it kind of like this. But I'm not gonna use that plastic piece up on the inside, just because that makes it kind of rip up too. So, especially on the Ski-Doos, I mean, whenever they got it so tight onto the material, I mean, this stuff just shrinks like crazy. So, I don't like to use the plastic. Now, we can go ahead and figure out where we can go ahead and cut this other piece. Well, once I go ahead and cut it out, I mean, I'll cut like one side of it and get it up to the halfway mark. Because sometimes with the cuts that I'm making out of it, it doesn't actually add up. I mean, not add up to the other side, but you want to make it close to to where it's kind of like equal on both sides. So I'll just go ahead and fold it over and make sure that it's good. And as you can see, I just got a little bit right there, so I'll go ahead and make my mark there. And it's kind of like crafting at home, I guess. There we go. Now that should match up pretty close. Now I'll just go ahead and turn it over. And that's a pretty good piece we could use for something else, but
There's also room at the other end.
yeah. So I'll just go ahead and just match that up there. And then go ahead and just trace this out. See, that way we don't have to waste so much material. I mean, if you got a bigger piece like that, you want to use that for something else. We've got another piece for that piece to match up. And then we got something like this here, which is going to be too small. So now we need to go ahead and figure out where we can get this piece off of. Right, here we go. Oh,
No, that's yours.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we'll just go ahead and take it out of here because we got to make some out of these. So anyway, now that we got our pieces all laid out and what you need, this piece is definitely going to be long enough so you don't have to go that drastic on the like the measurement. I mean, you could pretty much take it all the way down here because that way you don't have to waste so much material. So now what I'll do is just trace this out.
Because that part would have been tucked under.
Yeah. So make it make it just a tiny bit bigger, and then once you go ahead and get up here, you want this to be about a 1/4 inch to about a 1/2 inch taller than the seat itself. I mean, not the seat, but the cover itself, because you're going to be kind of like folding that down. And once you get that piece, I just make one mark where it needs to be. And then with the glove compartment, I always try to make that a little smaller just because, I mean, it's got a kind of like a fold over. But once I go ahead and get on the seat, I'll know exactly where to put my my hook and grab on the seat.
Why didn't
cover.
you mark that other side?
Well, what I do is I'll just go ahead and just make this cut here, and then like I did with the the tail flap, I'll just go ahead and cut half of it, and then I'll mark out where I needed to make that other cut. Right about there. Didn't go quite enough, but that's pretty good right there. And then I'll just go ahead and trace this other half to make it match up. There we go. Now we got our back of our seat cut out. So we're going to put the hook and grab on this on the outside, and then we're going to put the hook and grab on that piece there, and then we'll go ahead and sew these two pieces together after I get the hook and grab on that piece. So with the window, I mean not the window, but the opening for your glove compartment, I just make it go on the outside of the line. And I'll do that halfway mark thingy again too. That way I can go ahead and make it match up. So go a little over half. And once you do that, just pretty much just line up those two edges. And I'm pretty close to the mark that I made. So I'll just go ahead and cut that out also. And that way you got a whole bunch of room to go ahead and make that hook and grab to put on the outside of this. So anyway, we're gonna use the use these pieces back up in here, and you want enough room to where you can go ahead and put that flap on. So this is gonna, I mean, once you go ahead and sew this up to each other, it's gonna be kind of like this here, kind of like that, all the way around, except for the top. So you're gonna have enough room to go ahead and put this hook and grab all the way down here. So, and then the hard part is gonna, I mean, not the hard part, but the hook and grab is gonna be lined out just about like that. So once you go ahead and flip it over, grab that other hook and grab. You'll see once we go ahead and start getting everything all situated and cut out, and it's just gonna take a while. Probably about a couple days to go ahead and make this seat cover. But usually I do it in about 5 hours if I don't have anything to do. I mean, I'll just sit in a chair and I'll just go ahead and sew everything up by hand. And I mean, usually that's when I don't have anything to do. I'll just go ahead and just sit and get the seat done as quick as I can. But with the cushion outside drying out, it's probably going to take about a couple of days to go ahead and dry out those seat covers. I mean, those cushions. So that's going to go there. That's going to go there. And you're going to have a whole bunch of remnants. So this piece here and this piece here we can take out of here. Trying to make that as straight as you can.
That one will fit on the top, I think.
Yep, it sure will. Yeah. But yeah, with this material that I buy, I mean, it's only about like about 20 bucks a yard, and it sure beats going and get something from the something from the big box stores or whatever. So I just try to be more cost effective. It's not that I'm cheap, it's just that I just don't want to waste
Cutting
all
on
that.
cost.
Yeah, I just don't want to waste all that money making the big man rich. Probably could have left this one down, I mean, just by itself, but I always like to try to be as accurate as I can. That way, once I go ahead and put the seat cover on with the batting or the blankets, I mean, like the fleece blankets, that's what I kind of like using, just because the batting will flatten out really good. So this goes here. And then, as you can see, it's starting to come together. Once you go ahead and cut all your pieces out, and just kind of visualize what you want as far as your seat cover goes. That way, you can go ahead and just pull it tight onto the snow machine once you go ahead and get the snow machine seat, and you can get all those creases out with the blankets or the bad end that you use, and make it nice and smooth. And with these pieces, if they don't match up, then you can go ahead and make some cuts and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much matched up all the way around. So that one goes there. Okay, Ben, look at. You can lay on that one right there. Okay.
They're helping.
Yep. Now that we got our gray part all finished up, this is gonna be turned around anyhow, like that. This is gonna go here. This will go here, and this will go here. I got a whole bunch of remnants and stuff. Save that for another project, because you got a whole bunch of small pieces that you can't use. Now that we got all those pretty much lined out, I could go ahead and throw these in the trash because I'm not going to need them anymore. So that'll go into the trash bag in the garage. Now we got the black part to do. Okay, now we're going to be working on this part here. You kind of got to go ahead and visualize this part, because there's a whole bunch of it gone. So now that's the hump that's going on the piece that's where it rises up on the two-up seat. So I didn't get that cut all the way apart, but once you go ahead and start visualizing what you can put onto the seat cover, just make sure it's kind of like centered up. So I'll just go ahead and just make the line, make the trace just a little bit bigger.
You may not be able to see this on film, but he can see it pretty well.
So anyway, I got my flashlight on, and then once you go ahead and get up here, you just go ahead and kind of visualize that too. And there we go, we got half of that, half of that, half of that. So this part is all kind of wrinkled, so I'll just go ahead and make that cut, and I'll just go ahead and trace out the cut that I made on this part here, and then I'll
Flip
just
it over.
flip that over, and then trace that part out too. And I already got these marked out, so I can go ahead and cut those too. So now that we got the halfway cut, we'll just go ahead and just just fold this over, and that'll pretty much give you your your other half that you need to go ahead and make on this other side. And the black marker is kind of hard to see. That's why I got the flashlight on. So, anyway, we got that piece cut out. So, we'll stick that over there. And then, like I said, I already got these already marked out, so I'll go ahead and do the same thing here. So now you got the halfway mark up here.
Penny, move.
Just kind of flatten out as best you can.
Looks like it's not matching up. Oh, because you're going to cut the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, I got a little longer up here. That way I could just go ahead and staple onto the snow machine, and then I can cut off any of the excess. Well, once you go ahead and staple it on, then you can go ahead and cut off all the like the excess pieces. But mainly, what you want to do is just go ahead and get the get everything on the top of the snow machine seat, and then all the edges you can go ahead and cut off if you have too much hanging over or whatever. But once I go ahead and get the seat cover all, I mean the cushion, well, the seat cover done, and then the cushion totally dry, then I'll go ahead and put the seat cover on. Now I'll go ahead and figure out where I need to go ahead and cut off the excess. So until then, you just want to go ahead and...
Plus you're going to be adding batting kind of material,
I'm gonna be
fleece.
adding batting and fleece blankets. So get all those creases out of the seat cover. We got the halfway mark done on here. Then we come over here and get that other halfway mark here. And we can match it up with that. So now, it's not too bad off the line. But, I mean, not mismarked it, but got off the line there, so I'm gonna have to make a new line. That one I probably didn't have to mark, but I marked it anyhow. Now that you can see your line where you need to be, go ahead and cut that all off. And there we got it. So we got all our pieces cut. Now we can go ahead and start sewing. This is gonna go up here like that. That's gonna go there. That's gonna go there. So once everything comes together, once everything gets all sewn together, it's gonna look actually pretty good. So now I just gotta go ahead and sew everything by hand and get the cushion dry and put the seat cover back on the cushion. Yeah. Okay, now I got some thread that's already hooked up to a needle, and anyway, I just kind of like to use kind of like a double thread to go through the vinyl. And what I use is these number 5 to 10 needles, and I like to use the bigger eyelet needles just because the DMC thread number 5. Anyway, I'm just using DMC material, so I got gray and I got black, both number 5s. So anyway, you can see how thick these are. So I always like to just use like a double thread going through the material. But when I'm doing the hook and grab, I just use kind of like a single. So I just go ahead and take the single down and just pretty much get that lined up. Oh, this one's might be a little too much. But anyway, once I do the hook and grab, I just use single. Then I get to where however long I want it to use. And I try to use kind of like a shorter piece. That way you don't have to go through the material. You got to lift your arm up all the way. So if you just do like short pieces, because I'm going to be cutting these apart and cleaning all this stuff up, getting all the old stuff off, and going through that material there. But yeah, I like using the number 5. Between number 5 through 10 on the needles, which is the DMC brand, and then number 5 thread, which is the not embroidery, but the
it is embroidery.
oh, it is embroidery. Yeah,
Floss, embroidery floss.
Yeah, embroidery floss. So these seem to last a lot longer than what I used to use before. So that's why I like using these. So anyway, I'm gonna clean up all this hook and grab and get the old thread off.
And fuzz.
And the fuzz. So yeah, I'm gonna be using that. So I'll just get all this old thread off and try to clean it up as best I can, because like I said, I like using the old hook and grab because it's not so thick.
Good for recycling too.
Yeah, good for recycling too. Yeah. So it's an old snow machine, but a lot of parts on it still work.
I can zoom through the rest of it. Somebody knows what's going to be coming, and it usually involves string.
Yep.
That's his buddy.
So we got all the old thread that came off of it. So now
Trash can.
Trash can underneath me. So we got everything all situated except for some of the fuzz. But it's a lot gooder to get all the old thread off. So what I'm gonna be doing first is I'm gonna be taking that tail flap, and I'll just go ahead and put one side and throw that out to the side. Then I'll just go ahead and make my cuts on these pieces, and I'm gonna be using the firm side on this one. So with that, I'm just going to use kind of like a single thread, but I'm going to go ahead and cut these down to size. So once I go ahead and get them to where I have enough room to go ahead and fold it over, once I go ahead and get the pieces sewn onto it, then I'll just go ahead and, oh, there's my food. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and get that to where the length needs to be. I'll just go ahead and tie one end of it on, and I'll go ahead and start getting that get that piece sewn on. Okay, I'm gonna be doing these in certain steps. That way, it's gonna be a lot easier to sew together. So I'm gonna start with these two pieces first, and then after I get this done, then I'm gonna go ahead and slap that on there, and then do these pieces next, and then.
Those are the hard part. That's the
this
thick
is the
part.
hard part, yeah. And then after I get that one done, I'll set that off to the side. Then I'll start working on these. So I'll get these two pieces. I almost said welded together, but sewed together. You know, I got work on the mind. So I'll get these two pieces together. Then I'll go ahead and get this, and I'll set that off to the side. Then I'll go ahead and get these pieces sewn together. Make these all three pieces. So once I go ahead and get these pieces sewn up, I'll go ahead and get this piece sewed on here and finish that all out. And then after that, I'll go ahead and put this piece on the back of here and sew that all out. And then after that, I'll go ahead and put that piece onto the piece that's already sewn up at the very end. So there's certain steps that make it a lot easier. So this is what I'm going to start out with first. Okay, now that I got the hook and grab, I'll just go ahead and just measure that out to where I could go ahead and start putting like smaller pieces together. So now I'm going to be using the black thread. And then once I go ahead and start doing the gray together, then I'll start using the gray. So you'll see these in certain steps, so we don't have to film the whole thing, but this is just starting out with this piece here. So anyway, I'll go ahead and get this all stitched together, and I'll show you the finished product after I'm done. So it's just going to take a little bit to go ahead and get all this stuff going. Something like this seat here, it'll probably take me at least 5 hours if I stay on it pretty much all day. With no stop. So most of the time it takes me about 5 hours to do one seat. But this is 2 up seats, so there's just a little more sewing. But it's just going to take time. Okay, now that I got the hook and grab on, now I can go ahead and grab the other piece and go ahead and just sew them on inside out, kind of like this here. That way, once I go ahead and sew all this together, I could turn it right side in and just do a stitch on that. So what I'm gonna have to do is gonna have to use my gray thread so it doesn't leak all the way through, but you want to make it long enough to where you can go ahead and get all the way on one round of it, and then you could go ahead and turn it inside out, and then you could go ahead and do the outside. So now I'm switching out color thread, that way you don't see the black thread through the gray, which would be a lot gooder to see on the colors, or that way you don't see the thread on the colors. Here's one of the hard parts, is just getting the thread through the needle. But once you go ahead and do that, oh, I kind of messed something up. There we go. And once you get it long enough, that way you can do 2 passes on the flap, and just get it to where it's pretty much equal length. Okay, now that I got it equal length, now I'm gonna go ahead and sew these 2 pieces inside out. Okay, now I'm getting getting to the part where it's at the end. What I'm gonna do is just get it right there, and then I'm gonna wrap my thread around the needle a couple of times to make a knot. And once I go ahead and do that, then I could go ahead and turn this around and put it right side in. Then I could go ahead and start sewing the kind of like the double stitch. That way I'll just pretty much just flatten it out, because if we leave it like that, it's just going to create a kind of like an air bubble. So now that we got it in right side in, I'm just going to go ahead and start doing just doing kind of like a double stitch. That's why I made the thread long, to go ahead and start with. That way I wouldn't have to go ahead and cut and add another long thread to it. Okay, now that I got the right side in, just about done with the flap, I could go ahead and end this and put a couple knots in there, that way it doesn't come apart. Now what I need to do is just make my outline for my other piece that I need. So I'm going to have to change out the thread again. And anyway, I'm going to grab this piece now and just set this flat on the floor, get my marker. And what you want to do is just pretty much kind of fold these in half and get your center marks. And just enough to where you can go ahead and see it. Do the same thing here. That way it'll be centered on the piece that you're working with. And then I'll just go ahead and center this up also on the inside. That way I can see the inside of the inside of the piece I'm going to be doing. So I'll match up those 2 center marks and just pretty much get down here, lift this flap up, that way you can see the hook and grab, and then just go ahead and just make a slight mark right on where they need to be, just about like that. Make sure that it's still on. Mark that. Mark that. And so that's where that's where my hook and grab is going to be, on the inside. So it's going to be right about there. So I'll cut it there, and I'll go ahead and take a piece here, and I'll cut it here and here along those marks. The same thing over here. Mark there, and cut that, and then just sew that all on. And you can go ahead and put your flap back on it. And once you do that, you can go ahead and sew this up too. And then that's going to be your flap for the back. So after I get this one done, we'll just go ahead and throw this off the side and start working on the black. Okay, now that we got our thread changed out and the kitten's down there to catch the string.
Mm.
So now I could just go ahead and get this on and start working on this.
We will bring you back when he is closer to being done.
Okay, coming up to the end of getting these pieces together, I'll just go ahead and just put a pretty good knot into the thread. That way it doesn't come apart. And once you go ahead and do that, you can go ahead and cut out your end of your thread. And there we go. So got that part done. Got the that part done for the flap. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this on the floor and kind of flatten it out. I'm gonna get the camera. Kind of flatten it out just as best as I can, and I'm gonna go ahead and match up these centers. And that's what's gonna make it stick. And then I got these pieces all pretty much centered up also. So I'll go ahead and slap that on there. And sew those two pieces together with some gray. I'm gonna take my black thread out. Throw that in the trash because we can't use any of that. It's too short. But this is pretty much the hard part of the snow machine seat is the tail flap. I mean, it's not really that hard. It's just, you got couple of pieces to go ahead and take care of, like with the...
It's hard, guys. It's
yeah,
hard.
It's hard. But, I mean, I've been doing it for so long, so I'm kind of down to a science.
I would suggest a thimble for these thick areas with the needle.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't use one, but he's got nice, thick, calloused fingers.
Yeah, very calloused fingers. That's from working on snow machines and
welding.
And,
sewing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, now I got those pieces together. I'll just go ahead and start right at the center. And just go ahead and make my first stitches. And then I'll go ahead and fold it over. And then once I go ahead and get to the end of this side, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, now we're coming up to the end of this side. So what I do is I just go ahead and get to the end, and I'll just go ahead and wrap my thread around the needle like twice. And I'll do that about a couple times. That way I can get it a good knot on it. And once I go ahead and get to where I got the stitches, when I got the first stitches going, I'll just go ahead and take this piece up here, and I'll just go ahead and just fold it over, and then I'll grab all those pieces I just sewed together, and then just take it all the way across to the other side. That way I know it's got a good double stitch on it. I mean, a lot of older seats, they use the piping, and it was all machined sewed together. So everything that came off a snow machine was pretty much from a factory sewing machine, so it was all programmed, and everything was all done by a computer. Here we're doing it all by hand. So, I mean, I've been doing it a while. I mean, I've tried a sewing machine and it just didn't turn out right. So now I got a pretty good FAF sewing machine, industrial sewing machine, but I kind of prefer to do it like this just because I can use the thicker DMC number 5 thread, and it seems to last a lot longer than like the polyester. Okay, coming up to the end of this side, so I'll show you here in a second what it looks like. Once I go ahead and tie the knot in. So what I do is I just go ahead and take it from the inside and go through those three pieces that I just sewed together, and just go ahead and run it over about 3 times and put about 3 different knots into it. And with the knots, I'll just go ahead and just wrap my thread around the needle and pretty much come up with a knot. So this is what it's pretty much going to look like. I mean, you got the first 2 sets. I mean, the first set of the sewing where I sewed them all together, and then I folded it down, and then I sewed it. Then I sewed that piece all together. So this piece is done for the back. So now we got the flat done. So we can go ahead and set that off to the side and start working on the walls and the other stuff. So that's going to be a little quicker. I mean, it's not really going to be that much quicker, but it's going to be easier because that one was pretty much the hardest part of the snow machine seat, was the flat. Just because you got a whole bunch of stuff that you gotta go ahead and sew together with the flat. So, I mean, it wasn't too bad, but I mean, the others are going to be a lot easier, just that they're going to be a lot longer to do. So, it's coming together. All right, Leonidas, hang on. Leonidas grabbing my string. Okay. Okay, now I got the fun part of dealing with Leonidas, because he loves the thread. Lizzie sometimes gets into it, but most of the time it's always Leonidas. He goes crazy after this stuff. I mean, ever since he was just a baby, he loved it. I used to have to wait until he took a nap. But Lizzie's getting into it now.
You guys don't need to
You got
help
some
Dad.
claws, girl.
Yeah, she does.
And it hurts. Oh, come on, girl. Okay, now I'm gonna be working on these pieces here. And then what I always like to do is just go ahead and find the center on all the pieces that are gonna go together. I mean, you don't have to find center on those, but something like this here, go ahead and just take your black marker and just find the center of that. And find the center of this. That way, once you go ahead and get these pieces all sewn together, you could pretty much have a reference of where they need to be sewn at in the beginning. And then this piece will go right on here. This, make sure that the right ones for the right way. So this is gonna go here, and it's not gonna take long to do these 2 parts, just because they're short. But it's a lot of tedious work just to go ahead and get the smaller parts done too. But it's gonna make this the seat look good. I mean, even though it's not a black color or a red color to match any of the snow machine, or even the blue for that matter, because most of the Indy lights are pretty much red in color and blue in color. But I've made some, I mean, quite a few seats that went for the Indy light GT, or even just a regular Indy light with gray or black or white, and they pretty much look way better than the seat that they already had on. So it all depends on the owner, really. I mean, if he wants a different color seat, or if she wants a different color seat, I mean, it just make it look better.
Just got to find the right color of vinyl.
Yeah, so everybody has a different taste of color on their snow machine seats. I mean, I've done some that were like on a green Ski-Doo Summit, and they wanted yellow for it. I mean,
Did you do a purple seat at one
yeah,
point?
I did quite a few purple seats for the Arctic Cats, and also the Polaris XLTs. So now that one is put together. So anyway, I'm gonna fold that down. Make sure that kind of like your fold goes the different direction, because once the water hits on it, you want it to go ahead and run off of the seat. So this piece is a lot higher than this piece, so I'm gonna make the fold towards pointing downward. It's just a science to my little obsession about snow machine seats, trying to make them all look good.
I'd say obsession is a key word for that.
Yeah. I mean, I love working on snow machines, but I love making it look good too. I mean, with a pretty much a brand new looking seat. I mean, the cushion may not be new, but I mean, sometimes the cushions are so bad that, I mean, I'll just go ahead and buy that dense foam from the store, and I'll go ahead and cut out the bad parts. I mean, in a different video, I'll show that too. So I fix a lot of foam on seats, and I use a hot glue gun. There's just kind of like a science to doing seats for yourself. And like when I first started, I mean, after I've got my XLT done at a sewing company, I mean, I just wasn't happy with it, so I decided to go ahead and try my own, and been doing it ever since. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have, but it just wasn't happy with the product that I paid for $350. So I had to make sure that I had to do it right and do it myself, I guess. I mean, my first seats about 15, 16 years ago weren't really all that, I mean, all that really tight looking is what I do now. Just because, I mean, I was in kind of like a learning phase of it. I mean, I always come up with something new and different on each and every one that I do. But it's pretty simple once you go ahead and start getting the hang of it. I mean, yeah, you might be faster with a sewing machine, but you may not look as good or stretch out as good. Okay, now you notice that I went ahead and switched over pieces of vinyl and went with the black for the top of the seat. So anyway, I had to switch over my thread and go from gray to black. So I'm pretty much doing the exact same thing as what I did over there with the gray pieces. It's just sew all the pieces together, then I'm gonna go ahead and fold. I fold everything about the same way. So now we got those two tabs on the seat cover. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and fold this down and start sewing this up too. And this is gonna be for the hump of the start of the two-up seat. So it's gonna make that drop down on the cushion. So it's gonna fit I mean, somewhat tight, just because I'm gonna be using a fleece blanket underneath this seat cover right on top of the cushion, just to go ahead and get all the bubbles or whatever. I mean, pretty much try to make the curves really tight on the snow machine seat. So I mean, it's ideal to go ahead and use batting, but after a while, batting just kind of flattens out, and I mean, it conforms to the seat and all, but after you press it down quite a bit, then it starts flattening down. Then you'll have different different curvatures of the seat itself, so it won't look as good after all that batting starts flattening down. So I always try to use kind of like blankets, I mean fleece blankets. That's what I like to use. Okay, now I got these three separate pieces all put together. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and slap those just sew these three together. So it's gonna take me a little bit of time. So I'll start with these two pieces because this one's gonna be the hardest one to do, because you got all that to go ahead and fold up into your hand. So it's not going to be very hard, but it's just going to be hard enough. So now we'll get to start sewing this stuff together. Okay, we got all the three pieces all sewn together. So it's ready to go up on the seat cushion. I mean, once I go ahead and get the strap on for the middle of the hump. So that's going to be sitting pretty much close onto the cushion. So anyway, I got the tab here for the strap that I'm going to be putting on, and this is the strap I'm talking about with the buckle. So that's going to go right up in here, and what I want to do is just not make it as tight as it was. I mean, it was sewn like way down here, so anyway, I'm going to put it up a little higher. That way it doesn't do the indentation of pulling the strap too tight, because I'm going to use a whole bunch of fleece blankets to go ahead and put on the top of the seat cushion. That way I can go ahead and pull everything down and stretch it on down to the cushion. So that's all I pretty much got to do now.